am not trying to be perceived as a busy woman anymore.
There's also an aspect of being a Black woman wanting to succeed in this world means that you do have to be productive.
Yeah.
Like, and there's nothing wrong with being productive, but we're productive to the point of sometimes it's dysfunctional productivity. You are doing, but you're not actually achieving anything.
So I made a new friend recently and I really love spending time with her. She's overall great company, but she smells. What's up, guys? It's your girl Wintana, and you are tuned into the Bittersweet podcast. And today I have a really special guest. Not just a guest, she's also a friend who's been a friend over the years. I want to do your bio justice.
Okay.
This week we have Nasalifya Namwinga. She's a senior clinical psychologist and co-founder of Pola Practice. If you don't know about Pola Practice, you need to get to know. It's a leading mental health, well-being and consulting practice based in Melbourne. Dedicated to providing world-class support for marginalised communities, Pola Practice is home to a diverse team of majority Black and brown psychologists and therapists, which I feel already is amazing because we just don't have spaces like that in Australia at all. Nasalifya is also the lead researcher at Pola and is now pioneering research on burnout among mental health practitioners while pursuing her PhD at Monash University. Ooh. She's also a big-time fashion girly, as we can see today. Welcome, sis.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. That is actually such an incredible bio. I need to borrow that and I'll send it to you. Please do.
I was like, you need your flowers for everything that you've done.
Thank you.
How are you?
I am good. I'm coming off a pre-burnout trip to Dubai.
Okay.
So I'm like in a good place.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm pretty good.
A pre-burnout trip? So you were burnt out before the trip?
No, I'm preemptively, before I get burnt out.
Oh, you were going for a trip for that?
Because there's this
You've been traveling, by the way.
Oh my gosh, I love travel.
Yep.
If I love an airport, it's part of how I've reclaimed my trauma of moving around so much.
This is where I feel like you and I connect. I love fashion. I love seeing you, and you're just so stylish, and also the travel. I love traveling.
Yeah. I think it's like there's this thing that happens in airports where there's no time stops mattering. Because if you're flying internationally, the time zone's going to change. So I love being in an airport. I sit there, feel like nothing matters. I can be calm and chill. It
depends where. It depends how on time you are. Because there's also the part of me that's like running through the airport. That's not you.
No.
My sister said she goes 5 hours before.
Wow.
She's crazy. She's like, I like to go early and just sit, get food, chill. I'm like, okay. I don't do that, but I've done that before. Like I just go maybe 3 hours before, which is nice.
It's a sweet spot. 3 hours is good because you find a nice place to sit, you chill, you have a glass of wine.
And you just ease into it. Yeah, I get that. I love, and the duty free, just walking around duty free. Yeah. You know what's so crazy? I love going to Maya because it reminds me of the duty free. At the airport. I love walking around, especially the perfume section. I'm like, I just feel like I'm not in Australia or I'm about to leave.
I love that for you.
Yeah, it's such a good feeling. But yeah, we're going to jump into so much today. There's so much to talk about. Before we get into the conversation, I like to do a little icebreaker.
Okay.
So this one is a new one. I haven't done it before. And it's called What's Worse? Which one would drive you crazy?
Okay.
I'm going to give you 2 scenarios every time. What's worse? Your friend cancelling last minute or your friend showing up late and making you wait for an hour?
Probably showing up late.
Yeah, okay.
I think I love when people cancel.
Secretly, you're like, I really didn't want to go.
Oh, great. Oh, I'm so sorry. But the making me wait, probably I'd be a bit
annoyed.
Off by
yeah?
That. Yeah.
So are you the type of person that you like to be on time and you want your friends to also be on time?
Not necessarily on time, but we need to have an agreement. Are we doing African time?
Okay.
And if we're doing African time, then I'm okay. I'll chill. I'll wait for. But if you've told me if we've got an agreement that you show up at the time, then that would bother me.
That bothers you,
bit.
yeah.
But I don't need people to be on the dot.
Okay.
There's an unsaid agreement.
I think for me, it's an unsaid agreement.
Yeah.
Like I feel, and some of my friends hate me for this because I feel like I'm always kind of running late. My logic is if you're waiting at a cafe, that's one thing.
Yeah.
If there's no, we're just chilling in the house.
Yeah.
I think for me, I'm like, okay, like I process it the way I would process it, which is probably toxic. In my mind, I'm like, if you're waiting at the house, you're chilling anyway. So does it matter if I come 30 minutes late?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Well, I think I tell people, I'm like, here's my time. I'll update you. I'm like, I'm running late. I think the update makes me feel less anxious about it.
Okay.
But if you don't say anything, I'll be like, babes,
What are we doing?
what's happening?
Yeah.
Are you okay? Or then I start to worry. I'm like, did something
Did
happen?
you come
on the
late?
way?
Fair enough. Next one, your partner being too affectionate in public versus no affection at all.
No affection in public at all, or in general?
In public.
Too affectionate. I'm not a touchy-feely person.
You're not PDA person?
No, no, I'm not.
I get that.
Yeah.
In public, I don't like it either.
No.
I don't mind holding hands, but too much.
But then your hands sweat. And then I have
Or linking arms.
okay. Sorry, I love it for everyone who loves it, not for me.
Not for you.
I'm good.
Yeah, I hear it. I can see where it's annoying. I have friends that don't touch me. They don't even want to be like touched at all.
Yeah, I think, I don't want to feel restricted when I'm walking. So
I get that.
Holding hands, I'm like, your palm's sweaty, and then do we just pretend that we don't feel the sweaty palm?
Oh, do we just, yeah.
I'm like,
being left on red for hours or getting a dry response?
ooh. Probably left on red. So this is my problematic trait. I put full stops in texts.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and apparently that's rude. I'm the one who's sending the dry response.
You're my sister. She'll be like, okay.
Yeah, that's me.
Cool.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna say okay, I'll say okay, I'll extend it out. But now I started because I'm not even lazy. I think it's efficient. You know the microphone.
Yeah.
Not audio.
Yeah,
I'm not sending a voice. The microphone where you can actually
Audio to text.
audio to text. Yeah, that's how I send messages sometimes now because I just want to speak and not type it.
Yeah.
And it does the automatic full stops and this and that. I'm like, I feel like I'm texting like an old person.
Oh,
I think people, that's how it
me.
comes off.
I'm like, K, full stop.
Why the full stop? K is already a full stop.
I know. I don't know. It's automatic. And I've always, from high school, people have been like, why do you put full stops? You seem so,
It's aggressive. Or it just seems very blunt.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Because mostly I am.
I don't want to talk to you,
I don't
yeah?
want to text.
You're so funny. Sitting in traffic for 2 hours or missing your flight by 5 minutes?
Missing my flight. I've missed one flight in my life. And
No, which is worse? So missing your flight is
Missing my
worse?
flight would be worse.
No.
I can listen to a podcast. I'll listen to the Bittersweet podcast. I'll listen to 4 episodes in the traffic. I'm good.
Wait, missing your flight is worse than sitting in
Yes,
traffic?
yes.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying, I said which is worse, and then you said missing your flight.
It's worse.
Sorry, I'm wrong. Ha ha. Wake up.
We're still drinking.
We're
the
still
coffee.
drinking
Yeah,
my
it's
morning
still-
coffee,
yeah.
guys. It's Sunday. Yeah, missing your flight is worse
Missing-
than sitting. Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely. I've missed my flight. I've missed my flight maybe 4 times in my life.
4
in total,
times,
yep.
sis.
It was every time.
What do you mean? How?
Let me think.
horrified.
The first time I missed my flight was we had a big night. Me and my friend, my friend and I extended our trip in London.
Yeah.
We had a big night.
An international
And then we
flight.
decided to not sleep. And so I packed all our stuff. I'm like, cool, we're gonna go. And then I think we had an hour until I packed everything, went to sleep for 30 minutes, woke up, and then we still had a lot of time. I just did the extra 30 minutes so I wouldn't go into a deep sleep. So I'm like, surely, I sat for a bit and then fell asleep and woke up. And then by the time I got to the airport, it was like done. We just missed it. Then what other time? I think it was 3 times actually. Then one time it was in Ethiopia. I missed my flight because I read the time wrong. I read the boarding time from Dubai to Melbourne as my boarding time from Addis Ababa to Dubai. That was devastating. That was I just remember I'm sitting, imagine everything is ready. I'm just sitting at the cafe, killing time before my flight.
gosh.
And I'm looking, I'm like, no,
Then you realize
I need to be at the airport now. And I ran and then I didn't make it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then the third time I missed it from Melbourne to Sydney.
Okay.
But that was because I hadn't checked. I did the check-in from Sydney to Melbourne, not Melbourne to Sydney. I got to the board. I was at the gate. Nasalifya, I'm sitting at the gate. And they were like, okay, we
haven't
can
checked
board
in.
now. They're like, you haven't checked in. I'm like,
And
then check
check-in
me in.
closes.
It was 30 minutes and I was literally there maybe 45 minutes before and we were just about to board and I'm like, check me in now. And they're like, it's too late. You missed it by like 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
So just all stupid little mistakes.
The international ones would stress me out.
They stress me out.
I've missed one flight, and it was because I went to the wrong airport in China.
Oh.
And I was like, this is my first trip after being a broke student, so I'd saved every last
It's
coin,
when you have nothing
every
left.
last-
A
like, I
penny,
had
I'm counting.
dust in my wallet. I was crying at the airport, and I called my parents, and I was like, you need to bail me out. But I had like literally, I think it was the end of the trip coming back home, and I think I had like $50 in my account.
I've been there. I've been there. I don't tell my parents because you think my parents make me feel better?
No.
They'll make you feel like shit
Yeah,
after you're already feeling like,
absolutely. That's why there's that one. If I had the money, I would have just sorted it out.
Yeah.
But I was like,
Finish.
I am in China. I have no money. I don't know where I'm going. So yeah.
Yeah, you had to.
I had to by force.
Okay, next one. This is our last one. When someone cuts you, so what's worse, someone cutting you in a line versus someone walking slow in front of you with no way to pass?
Probably someone cutting me in line. Rudeness gets to me. Someone walking slow, that's like, there could be reasons. I can justify that. But you just being rude?
Yeah.
Oh, no. You?
I feel like I get what you're saying, but I feel like my patience, my tolerance is so low and it's really bad. Someone walking in front of me really slowly, it really bothers me. It really bothers me, especially if I'm on the go. I'm just like,
you're a busy woman. You got places.
move, please move. So I would say, because I'm just trying to think, someone walking slow in front of me, because I can't be rude to that person that's walking slow. They're in their own worlds, having fun and just taking their time. The person that cut in front of me, we're gonna have, you're gonna move. Yeah, I can deal with you, but the other person, I'm just like, oh, and then I look crazy, So I think I would prefer the one cutting in front of me.
Fair, because you can do something.
I can do something about it. The other one, I can't do anything about it. Yeah, that's it. That's the icebreaker.
Good.
Yeah, so let's get into.
So much about you.
There's so much to talk to you about. Before we get into the topic, though, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself and also Pola Practice.
Yeah, so I guess about me, I'm Zambian. I am a stepmom. I am technically I'm married.
I didn't know you were a stepmom, by the way.
It's. I think I don't feel like a stepmom. I'm like my stepson's dad's partner.
Yeah.
It's more how I see my role. And I have a dog, a Chihuahua, Jack Russell, most insane.
A Chihuahua cross
with a Jack Russell, cross with a Jack Russell.
Wow. Okay.
Like,
Is it big or small?
Small, but like with a lot of.
Is it Jack Russell big?
No, they're usually quite small, but they're like farm dogs, and then Chihuahuas are lap dogs.
Yeah.
So he's wild. I'm trying to think things that are not work related. Like you said, I love fashion. I love clothes. I think clothes are like armor in how we get dressed and show up in the world. And then the stuff that's like work related. I'm a clinical psychologist. I've been working as a therapist for coming up 10 years.
Wow.
And I love that work. That's the work that Pola Practice came out of. So I'm someone who lived experience of mental illness. So when I moved to Melbourne, I was looking for a therapist, and I wanted someone who I could talk to about what it's like being a Black woman with lived experience of mental illness and working in the industry and trying to change the world as we do. And it was really hard to find someone who got those intersections. So because I'm a firstborn daughter, so I was like, be the change you want to see in the world.
Let me do it myself.
Yeah. Started Pola, and that's how it started. And Pola, actually, this is a backstory that no one knows. I actually stole the name from my mom.
Oh, really?
My mom's a counselor, and she started Pola counselling in New Zealand.
You're actually, that's crazy.
I know.
What did your mom say about that?
She was flattered.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's fine. But
She said, let me get a cut.
Yeah, she was like,
Yeah,
this. Yeah. So she's got residual ownership of the name.
She's waiting for her time.
She's waiting. But yeah, Pola is like a passion project that has grown, and I'm really proud of it. And it gives me an opportunity to do work that I think I needed in the industry, being a Black woman working in Australia and New Zealand, which is where I grew up. Yeah, I needed a safe place.
Yeah.
And I think creating that safe space is what I'm really passionate about. Not just for clients to come in, but also for therapists. As therapists, often we don't see ourselves reflected in the media. Well, a little bit recently, but like we don't see ourselves reflected in when we're doing the training at university, in literature. So having a place that is focused and centers the experience of marginalized folks, it's kind of...
It's amazing. And I think Pola, like, I love that you said you're so proud of it, because you should be. Like, you have almost started a movement with Pola. I feel like we don't see Black therapists or psychologists in Australia at all. Really, I feel more recently when mental health started to become a topic, we're seeing it around the world more, but we haven't seen it for a long time, and it's foreign to us, you know? So it's not just that Pola Practice now has all these Black therapists under their like practice. It's just also like we're starting to get you've shed light onto that world of mental health and what it could look like. And I would say it's a movement. It's really in a lot of ways, I think it's brought a lot to the culture as well.
Yeah.
So I love that. And also for the real OGs of Bittersweet, they would know that Nasalifya actually was on the podcast maybe the first, I don't even know how many episodes. The first,
I think.
2019, it would have been the first like 5 episodes in Australia, because we did a few in London, and then you were one of the probably first 5 people that we brought on with Tigers.
Yeah.
And this is when you were doing Pola, when you had just started doing Pola, right? So just how many 5 years later that now you're back here and you've got your practice. It's amazing. It's such a full circle moment for us too. It really is. It's crazy.
That was the first podcast I ever did by force, because Tigis was like, you need to learn how to talk, and I hated public speaking. Yeah. So she made me do a lot of things, and I was like, I don't think I'm interesting.
You're so interesting. I remember you were on the podcast and you told us, I think we did an icebreaker back then as well, and I'll always remember this because you
oh my gosh.
It was the most random thing, but you were saying something about how you've prepared for the apocalypse.
Oh, yes.
That's how, and I'm always remembering Nasalifya is the lady that's prepared for an apocalypse. Like, you went on and on. Yeah, and I'm like, this is so random. Like, I don't know anyone that thinks like this. But that's how I remember you.
Yeah, when the world ends, come to my house.
I'm coming immediately. Yeah, I'm ready. But like it's such a full circle moment, and I want you to, I hope you recognize the change that you've made and the impact that you've made in Melbourne, in Australia, for the African community. Like, you guys are killing it. You guys are really doing your thing.
Thank you. I was talking to my therapist.
Yeah. I love that you have a therapist as well.
I need one.
Yeah.
In this life, you really do. I was talking to my therapist about Pola, and I was saying, it's so interesting because I started because I needed the safety, because I was working in a space that didn't recognize my intelligence, my intellect, and I was just trying to create safety for myself. And then I realized that the thing that I was seeking, other people were looking for as well. And that's such an organic way to grow, when you're creating something that truly resonates with you. Yeah. And then other people resonate with it as well. Because I think the other weird fact is that when I moved to Melbourne, I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't know people. So I used to listen to the podcast.
To Bittersweet?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it was a little fangirl, but it gave me an insight into the world of what was going on in Melbourne and what the cool kids were doing.
I love that. Love that you thought of us like that. Yeah.
Still do.
Looking at Pola now from what it was 5 years ago, do you have this vision for it?
No. So I think I had a vision that it was going to do something. Yeah. Even if it was just in the lived experience of practitioners and therapists. But I didn't envision where it's gone. I think a lot of the spaces that we've grown into has been truly because we've seen a need. Yeah. Because the one thing I refuse to be is to create something for my own ego that actually doesn't do anything or meet a need. It doesn't serve a need that's real. Because it has to be a real need. So the like we've gone into the employment assistance program, EAP space, because we've seen that there's a need for people who are working. Our people are working in industry and in organizations where they don't have safety. So how do we bring safety into that space? And that was because someone asked us. They were like, hey, could you do this thing?
Yeah.
And I think we're trying to fill the gaps that are there rather than creating gaps, because there's so much need. So I think a lot of the ways we've grown have been because someone has said, hey, can you guys do this? Because we need this. And then we're like, we'll spend a year figuring it out.
And it's just been an organic growth then. That's nice, because it really flows with what you're already doing. It's amazing. I love it.
Thank you.
The topic I want to talk to you about today is burnout. And I want to give you guys a little backstory of how I even came to this. I was in Ethiopia, as the audience knows. And I was just chilling. 2024 was a big year for me and for Bittersweet and just for everything that I was doing as well in my personal life. And I felt like multiple times I felt like I was burnt out throughout the year. But by the end of it, it was just, I was finished. And I booked a random trip to Ethiopia because I was like, there's actually nowhere else I feel like I can switch off properly and just chill. And my dad was going, so I took the opportunity. And I was sitting in our hometown is called Aksum. I'm sitting there in the hotel, and I think I was on LinkedIn, and I saw a video, and I'm like, I need to talk to Nasalifya about burnout, because it's not normal to be experiencing it. I guess everyone goes through it, but I think the cycle of it, where I know it's going to happen, I get my energy back, and I'm like, let's just go again, and I'm not actually learning how to deal with it or learning how to navigate, working and resting and doing all that stuff. I just know that when I get the energy, I'm just going to go for it again. So yeah, I was like, let's have a conversation. I know you're doing a study. Last year we also worked together on a few things. So I'll get you to talk about it as well. But I think burnout has become such a buzzword in the last few years, and we all just, we're always hearing it, and sometimes maybe it's used loosely. And can you actually define what it is?
Yeah. Firstly, I think one thing that's important to note is that it's a real thing. The World Health Organization recognized it as a health issue. So I think because it's a buzzword, sometimes people think it's just like a millennial term to talk about why we don't want to be in work or something. But it's a real thing. So it's recognized by the World Health Organization as a health issue. Burnout is essentially, it's work stress that isn't managed well. So it has 3 dimensions or 3 aspects. There's cynicism, which is where you just kind of feel a bit cynical about the work or the world. There's exhaustion, which I'm sure you can talk to.
Yes.
Physical, emotional, some spiritual exhaustion. And then there's low efficacy, which is where you feel like it takes twice as much to do half the work. Like you feel like you're trugging along, but the work isn't getting done to a standard or to a level or in the time that you would normally do it. So those are the 3 kind of dimensions of burnout. It's a real thing, and it's a health issue. And often we know that stress has impacts on our health. Like chronic stress unmanaged has significant impacts on your physical well-being. This is the same, because it's stress. It's like living through work-related stress, and the complicating factor is that we have to work. You can't remove yourself from the cause of stress, because you need to pay rent, you need to buy food, and this cost of living. You need to do so. It's this aspect of the thing that is causing you stress that has impacts on your health is something you have to engage in. So it's a complicated and probably more chronic kind of presentation. So the funny thing, what you said about experiencing burnout when you're in Ethiopia. That's why I took a pre-burnout trip, because often what happens is we take a holiday after we've worked really hard to treat ourselves, and then that's when you crash.
On the holiday?
On the holiday. Because that's the time your body is like, now allowed.
I can rest.
And I don't want to spend all my travel
just burnt. I couldn't even, there were so many things I wanted to do when I was there, but I couldn't bring myself to doing it. I'm just like, I just want to chill. I want to sit and do nothing. And I guess there's so many things I want to get into. Like, what are the signs that, when you are starting to feel burnt out, like how do we start to recognize this is what we're about to go into, and I guess, how do we avoid it?
Yeah, so the signs look different for everyone, but I think I'll talk about it for me. One of the signs is I can't be bothered, can't be fucked,
Yeah.
do anything. Like
Yeah.
the things that I would normally enjoy, I just can't be bothered. So I go to work, do what I need to do, come home, and do absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
That's when I know I'm either like getting into burnout or I'm experiencing it in the moment because the exhaustion is too much.
It's
that
too much.
I don't experience joy. Like I'm not doing the things that I know will bring me joy. Also, when I start having like cynical thoughts about the world, which sometimes realistic current, life.
Or people, I'm not
everything,
gonna
yeah.
lie, sometimes people, when I'm burnt out, the smallest things that people do, I'm just like, are they slow? Like, I'm just very critical and like, I don't
Irritable.
offer grace, irritable. Like, everything that people do, it just frustrates me because I guess like I just don't have any patience. I have nothing left in me. And I notice how I start to move around in the world is very just negative.
Yeah.
And I read something about how it can also come up or can seem as anxiety or depression, but it is burnout. It's just not, it has the same traits. Is that true?
Yeah, sometimes it looks like increased anxiety or depression, but I guess sometimes it could be both, right? Like sometimes it's both of them. It can look like being physically sick as well, because sometimes your body physically carries all the stress, and maybe mentally because you're a bit checked out, a bit dissociated in your life, the only sign that you listen to is your body crashing. So it looks different for everyone. I guess that's the end kind of conclusion. But if you start finding yourself behaving in ways that are unusual for you, it's important to check in about what's going on. And also, if work is stressful, if you work in a job that is stress-inducing, which most of us do, sometimes it's related to that. So,
And I noticed that it can also change the way you perceive the work that you're doing at the time. Like I have moments where I hate it, and it doesn't make sense because I love what I do. And I think there's always this. I think for me, it's just always trying to struggle with finding when I'm starting to feel the burnout, identifying like those moments, and then also just coming up with ways to combat it. So one thing I feel like is I have a very complicated relationship with resting, and I'm very I have to be productive at all times, to the point where sometimes it's like, girl, you're just being productive to be productive. One thing I noticed about myself as well is I went through a whole like rebirth in Ethiopia. I am not trying to be perceived as a busy woman anymore. I want my aura to exude relaxed. Like people see me like she's so chill. And life just flows with her, because it's always get your bag. You're so like booked and busy. It's starting to become a trigger for me to be busy. Like I don't want to be, because I notice my relationship with being busy is like, I perceive someone busy as someone who's productive, who's successful, and who's getting things done. And that's not, and then you find yourself packing up your schedule or like, filling up your schedule for the sake of filling it up. Because when I have moments where there's downtime, I'm just like, okay, well, I'm doing something. What am I doing? Or this is not really sitting right with me. I feel uncomfortable. And that's what I've noticed.
I'm with you with that complicated relationship to rest. I'm there with you, because I think there's also an aspect of being a Black woman wanting to succeed in this world means that you do have to be productive. Like, and there's nothing wrong with being productive, but we're productive to the point of like, sometimes it's dysfunctional productivity where you are doing, but you're not actually achieving anything.
Yes, you're just doing.
You're just doing things and like you said, packing your schedule with activities that because you're continuously doing, you don't even get to step back and be like, what is the vision of my life that I want? What is the ambition that I have? What are the goals that I'm trying to get to? You're just doing things. And it's so much, the things you say no to are more important than the things you say yes to. Because we have to have, what is the things that we'll say no to? What are the things that don't actually align with where you want to see yourself, the life you're trying to create for yourself? And saying no is a lot of times for black women in particular, but people of color, is more important than saying yes. Because we often don't say no to things because we're like, well, I should do it because I I can.
Yes,
Yeah.
because I can, because
Yeah.
it fits into, even if it's as simple as, I was sick the other day. I felt a cold coming, and I was like, okay, I can manage to go and see someone. Like, I'm sick, but I can see myself. But I'm struggling. Like, my body needs rest. I need to relax. And usually, I'd be the type of person to just, okay, it's fine, Matana, 2 hours. You just see the person, you do your thing. And it was like I called 2 people to cancel that day. I was so proud of myself because it's not something I do.
I love a cancellation.
I was like, girl, you need to rest. And the feeling that, like, I just don't think it comes down to, I guess, self-love and really understanding what that looks like, because we're not seeing that as, in my mind, I'm not looking at me canceling plans is me pouring back into myself, but it is like, why are we not giving ourselves the space to just look after ourselves? And, and I also think it's, I was going to say Africans, but maybe migrants as well. Like, we have this guilt. Our parents came here, they did this, they did that. And so we're just kind of like, we need to, for me anyway, it's like, I need to be using all my hours in a day to make sure that I become successful so that I can kind of pay my parents back for everything that they've done for me, right?
Exactly.
And you just have moments where it's just exhausting. You end up in a very toxic cycle.
You do. I talk about it as making good on my parents' sacrifices. To make good on my parents' sacrifices, I have to achieve every possible thing that I could possibly even grasp. So I'm productive as a way to alleviate the guilt that, to an extent, that I feel for what my parents gave up for me to have these opportunities. And that's like a really complicated way to engage with rest. If I feel guilt because my parents gave up so much, so therefore I should be doing. And also it's the examples that I've seen. I've seen my parents, because they had to work crazy shifts out, like shift work, working wild hours, not resting, and then giving back to the community. That's the example that I've seen. But I had to have this conversation myself. My parents had to do that because they were rebuilding a life. It's different when you're rebuilding a life. You have to do twice as much because you're setting up foundations, you're creating community, plus you're working, plus you're trying to get the promotion. I'm just building a life.
I know, but do you know what? I think I understand that. I relate to that. I almost feel like we are so conditioned to live the way that they were living.
Yeah.
I see the world sometimes I see it from their perspective as opposed to, I'm actually safe. I live in a country that's stable. I was born, I was lucky and privileged enough to be born in a country that offers me opportunity and stability and safety, whereas my parents didn't have that. But the way my lens is almost that scarcity mindset. I need to be working hard. I need to be, but we just didn't have this. We don't have the same reality.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And thanks to our parents.
Thanks to our parents. Yeah.
They did all that so that we don't have to. And I think we forget that they did it so that we don't have to.
Yeah.
Like, we have the choice of being to choose rest when we can, because we're choosing the chaos.
We're choosing the chaos. I know, but I think also maybe for me, I think it's just feeling in debt. Like, you feel like you're in debt to your parents. Yeah. And that's what makes it. That's also just another added layer. Yeah,
but how sad would our parents feel if they heard us talking about it as if we feel indebted?
Yeah.
Because that was never their ambition. Their goal for moving and creating safety was for us to be okay, not for us to feel guilt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, and that's a complicated relationship over there, girl. That's a whole thing. Yeah. So knowing all this stuff, how do we start unlearning the irrational I guess perspectives that we have around resting and how do you change that?
I think it's about having a bit of a cultural shift. I think we need to shift from this hustle culture to a well-being rest culture. So for myself, I think of the luxury that I want in my life. The luxuries I want is time.
Yeah.
I want time to be mine. So I'm trying to build a life for myself that allows free time. So it's actually about how I'm setting my intention. So if I'm working hard, if I'm doing something, the outcome should be that in me next year won't have to work this hard.
Yeah.
That I have an extra 30 minutes, 45 minutes, hour. So as well as wanting to make more money and all that, that's all well and good, or wanting to be successful. But how do I get back my time? So it's a kind of a shift in how you prioritize ambition. My ambition is to live a soft life where I can work 2 hours a week, and the rest of my time is spent doing whatever or nothing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the one thing, is shifting how our ambition around it.
Wait, I need you to explain that a
Yeah,
little bit more
okay.
so I can understand.
So most of us think of ambition as being making more money
Yes.
or having a higher salary or more prestigious role.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
That's one thing. Alongside that, the other thing I want is to have more of my own time. So instead of being working 38 hours, I want to work 20 hours in 5 years.
Okay.
So when I'm working, I'm building towards a life of working 20 hours, as well as making more money, because I still want to make the money.
But it's almost still the same thing, but the focus isn't on the money. The focus is more on the money is almost the tool to get you to having more time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like an example I'll say is when I think about how much I want to earn, there's a dollar amount. So let's say it's $100 a week, right? In 3 weeks, I want to earn $100 a week, but work 4 hours. Whereas now I'm earning $100 a week and working 30 hours.
Yeah.
In a year, I want to earn the same amount of money, but work less hours.
Yeah.
So the shift is like, as well as wanting to make more money, I also, at the same time,
want to work less.
Yeah. Want to have more
time on your hands.
My time. Yeah, because that's a luxury. Having time to do dishes, do laundry is one thing, but also time to do nothing.
Yeah,
time
to just relax.
Play, time to enjoy my life, time to travel, time to do things. That's also a luxury that I want in my life. So rest is part of my ambition in what I'm building for my life.
Yeah.
Does that kind
of... That makes sense, yes, yeah.
So that's one thing. The second thing is I'm going to rest even if I feel guilty.
I think that's a big thing.
Yeah.
I think just you need to push past the emotion of feeling guilty and just do it anyway.
Yeah.
Which is uncomfortable because I'm not really resting while I feel like I'm uncomfortable while I'm resting because I'm thinking about it, but I have to push past that feeling. It's better than pretending to rest and just being, because I went to therapy last year, and my therapist was talking about how you need to have at least one day where you do absolutely nothing. So I was like, okay.
Challenge
and I tried. I sat there. I set up my whole living room. I'm watching a movie. I had my snacks. And I'm like, yeah, surely I could just write a few emails while I do this, you know? So it's still that feeling of I can get certain things done. Why not just do it? So yeah, I think it's a challenge to get past that emotion, or like just past the feeling of just relaxing and doing nothing for the sake of doing nothing. And I think it'll be uncomfortable at the start, but hopefully.
Yeah, if I put my therapist hat on, it's okay to feel the feeling and validate why you feel that feeling. Like validate why there's guilt, right? Because of the guilt of like making good on our parent sacrifices. So the emotion actually makes sense. But just because it makes sense doesn't mean you don't do the thing, right? So your feeling of guilt can be for good reason. It makes sense from childhood experiences, blah, blah, blah. There's a reason for the emotion. So we're not shaming ourselves for the emotion. We're saying it makes sense, but I also deserve to, hold that space for the emotion while still engaging in rest.
Yes, yeah.
Right? Like,
the challenge is feeling the discomfort though of do you know what I mean? Because I can acknowledge that I feel guilty. I can acknowledge where it's coming from, but I'm still uncomfortable while I'm resting.
Yeah.
It's
Eventually, so what happens is that you're challenging your brain to do something that it feels uncomfortable doing. The more you do it, the less discomfort you feel.
Yeah, get me there. Because I'm just trying to be chilling and yeah.
You're trying to get to the end.
I'm just trying to get to the point where and the thing is, it's weird. It's if I'm doing activities, if I'm out and I'm enjoying life, and I don't feel guilty for those things. It's when you're stopped, when you're still and you're just chilling and you're like, oh, I need to get this money. I need to
Yeah.
go and let me get up and do something. Yeah.
Because we're much better at doing restorative things. Because there's a difference between rest and restoration. Restoration are the things we do to help us come back to the work energized and renewed. Rest is the thing that we do that is not work and not productive. So we are actually really good at doing restorative things like engaging in community activities, doing like creative things.
Traveling.
It's this rest that we're
not good at, yeah.
But rest is so necessary.
Yeah.
You can live for a bit and you can survive on just doing the restorative things, but you actually need to come to terms with being able to rest. There's a TV show on Netflix called the Church of Sleep.
Okay.
By I can't remember his name, but it talks about Black African Americans' relationship to rest and the guilt, and it's a really good show.
Yeah.
I'd highly recommend anyone who's struggling to rest. That's one recommendation.
Okay.
Church of Sleep, and then the Nap Ministry
Okay.
is.
What is it? What does it highlight that makes it so good?
I think it's highlighting why there's guilt around rest, but it also then tells you to do it anyway.
Yeah.
But it also it's showing images of Black and brown people, just like Nap Ministry. She wrote Rest is Resistance, the book, and she does her art exhibits, and all people do is come into a room and nap. Right?
Yeah.
But because we're doing it collectively, you're allowed in that space. There's
You're
a sense-
normalizing
Yeah,
this thing. Yeah.
I think there's a sense that you feel less guilt about doing
Yeah.
it. So I guess seeing those images of ourselves resting, because we often don't. If we see a Black girl online, she's like hustling, she's doing the thing, she's like,
Moving, there's always something. It's
Yeah.
excellence. Or if we look even, that's online. Let's look at our early examples. When I look
Yeah.
at my mom, she does not rest. She doesn't rest. And I think that's another thing that our parents weren't taught at all. You know, when I see her, and I almost feel a sense of discomfort sitting down when I'm around her because she's cleaning, she's in the kitchen, she's moving constantly. And you feel it, you know? And so for me, it's almost like, okay, don't be lazy. You have to get up. You have to do this. You have to. And that's just something that you're conditioned to, I don't know, believe, I guess, over time. Yeah.
and if we like deep it, it's what is rewarded for women. What's rewarded is that you're so self-sacrificing. Those Mother's Day cards I despise that are like, oh, you gave up everything for us. And I'm like, that's not a good thing.
No.
It's like so dehumanizing, saying, oh, you gave up everything and that's why we love you. And that's what we cherish about you, is that you had no life of your own. You gave up your entire self to be this thing, which is actually not a positive thing.
Yeah, it's very sad.
It is. And I think we need to shift what we praise our parents for. I think when I went on this trip to Dubai with my mom, we just chilled for a lot of it. We just like sat and talked and napped during the day.
I love that, yeah.
But it was a challenging, because she's my example and she does not rest.
Yeah.
She's similar.
Did she find it hard to just chill the way you were chilling?
Yes and no. I think she's done some work for herself
Okay.
to do that. But I think also she was allowed because you're on holiday.
Yeah.
It's like a different cheat code.
Yeah.
Because she's like, oh, well, we're in another country. I can't clean the house because the house isn't here to clean.
Yeah.
So yes, it was easier, but also no, because I know that if she was sitting at home, she would
She would be doing, yeah. So your mom is a therapist?
Yes, she is.
How is that, having a mom as a therapist?
It's good. She became a therapist in the same time I became a therapist.
Oh,
So
really?
We were at uni together, and I always laughed.
Wait, that is so
yeah.
cute. You were at uni together with
For
your
a
mom?
little bit, yeah, and she was way cooler than me. Had way more friends. Like, there was a boy that used to walk her to her car every day. I don't know what this.
You know what's so funny though? When our moms are in their element, it's see you later.
Yeah,
My mom's like, yeah, I'm just with my friend now.
yeah.
Okay.
I was like, my mom was a cool girl
Yeah.
back in the day. I was like, she's so cool. But yeah, we studied almost at the same time, doing different courses.
Yeah.
Well, it's really interesting. We are able to talk about how I was parented with like psychological ideas, which is healing, because we get to talk about the things that
It would be,
happened.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think our parents have a lot of complex feelings about how they parented us because they weren't well resourced for a lot of them. They left their community, their connection, and they found it hard.
Yeah.
They found that's a really hard, and it's also why we feel guilt because we saw it. But well, it's a mixed, complicated relationship. But our parents did this really incredible thing, which is surrender their lives to the idea of a better future for the next generation.
Yeah.
Not even necessarily for
It's
them.
very selfless.
Yes.
And that's
very problematic.
Yes, very problematic. But also, did they have a choice?
Yeah.
Did they have a choice? I don't think they had a choice. And I think the older I'm getting, when I was younger, it was, okay, my parents worked hard for me.
Yeah.
They did this. The older I'm getting, I'm seeing the layers. I'm
Yeah.
seeing the sacrifice. I'm seeing, you've completely relocated to a new country and you've left your life. You've left your family. You've left like what you thought, parts of yourself to come here to this foreign place. Some people with women, they don't really know. Like they just met in another country and then they've paired up and they've come because I feel like the luxury of love, it wasn't there as much. It was convenience and building a home and a family. Then you come here and you just, next step is to have children. There's no conversation about, do I want kids? How many do I want to have? What life? And then it's like, you're a mum. I was looking at videos of my mum. She's so young and she's sitting there with my younger sister, so her third daughter. And I'm just like, what are you thinking? And did you even have time to think about what you wanted or what you're doing? And so there's just these new, I guess for me, it's like new layers of guilt and but also understanding for them, so empathy, I guess now, as opposed to before. I'm like, they're just so like, they want me to do this and they, so it's complicated.
It is. You start seeing them as fully
people,
formed people in it of themselves, which is beautiful. But it is, I think, when I think about my mom, I think by my age she had all 3 kids, and I'm like,
crazy.
That
was mom. I think mom by my age she would have had. I think she had me and my sister and I. Yeah.
And that, I'm like, I can barely look after my dog.
Girl.
Babes. Like, barely looking after myself. We're just struggling. But
I'm on a podcast talking about random relationship troubles every week. And they're out here building families.
Yeah, we get to have a stage of adolescence that they never got to because they had to become fully fledged. When you have children, you have to kind of become an adult in a different way. But we get to spend this time self-actualizing and thinking about, and also we get the luxury to think about whether we make certain decisions, like if we choose to have children, when we choose to have children, how big the family is, in ways that they didn't have the time to think about because it was like, this is what's expected.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with my mom about how she made the decision to have kids. And she was like, well, because it was just kind of the thing that you did.
Yeah, the next thing. Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm glad she had us.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I think I want to make a decision different to that.
Of course, And I think, I think it would also be challenging from their perspective to watch us live this life out, that they almost didn't get the opportunity to live. Yeah.
I think so. But I think I kind of had I've never traveled with my mom, so I keep talking about this story because it was actually a bit life-changing. We've never traveled together, just the two of us. And we had these really like woman-to-woman conversations and really deep and meaningful conversations. And I asked her, I was like, how would your life had looked different if you hadn't had kids? And she said, I'm so glad that I did. So I think it's complicated because I get privileges in my life that she didn't have. But I also think we're incredible as an outcome of their decisions.
Yeah, that's
pretty
true.
Great.
We are pretty great.
We're pretty great. But I don't think they. Well, I don't think they regret the decision.
Yeah, I don't think they regret it either. For sure, I don't think. I just think that maybe there are some thoughts of what could have been, and maybe if I had it later, or if I had the opportunity to, if it just panned out differently a little bit, where they had maybe more control, it would have been different. But I don't think they regret it either. I think,
Yeah, I think there's other. My mom never wanted to be a nurse, and that's what she studied. So
She was like, "There's other
she's
regrets."
like, there's other things that I would
Yeah,
have done
yeah.
differently, not having.
But I'm chilling with my daughter in Dubai now.
she
Like,
was like-
what? This is a life.
That's exactly what she said. She's like, if I didn't have kids, I wouldn't be in Dubai at
Yeah.
the moment. Yeah.
Which is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting, and I feel like it's bringing it back to burnout. It is interesting how it all connects, because I think for us and for me, and like sounds like for you as well, it does connect to how our relationship with rest is. It's a kind of a, I guess it is a result of how our relationship with our parents is and all that. And so, yeah, I just want to find ways to better to deal with it in a way that's more constructive and makes sense, and is not just going to lead me back to this cycle every single time, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you have to imagine your life different to what it is now.
I think it's a
Yeah.
perspective shift.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Because we have in this day and age, we do have opportunities to reimagine what life looks like. We have agency that our parents didn't have. So I think it's about having a different perspective. What are the things that are important to you? What is the exercise that I get my clients to do is, okay, so in 5 years, what do you want? What kind of, imagine what house you want to live in, what kind of partner you want to have, all those things. And then think about how you want to spend your day, hour by hour. Like, what time do you want to wake up? Do you want to be waking up at 7 in the morning or at 10 at night? Not 10 at night. In the afternoon. And how many hours do you want to be working in your standard work day? Do you want to have weekends off? Like, imagining those details in terms of time. Like, what do you want to spend your life doing? And that might change the decisions you make, what things you say yes to or no to tomorrow, because you have this idea of the life that you want to see in 5 years' time. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna go do that when I get home tonight. Also, just more specifically, can we talk a little bit about the study that you're doing, because that's more focused on mental health practitioners and their experience with burnout, right? Yeah.
Yes. So we've done that study. We had, I think, 168 people fill in the survey, and 88% of them are experiencing burnout.
Not surprised.
Not surprising.
I'm not surprised.
Post-pandemic, like, increase of mental health awareness, we have more people coming into therapy, which is great. So we have more work. An interesting thing, though, is that even though 88% of people are experiencing burnout, only 33% of that burnout is client-related.
Okay.
So it's not about the work, it's not seeing clients, because we as therapists, I can promise you, we love seeing clients.
Really?
Yeah, that's the reason we did our studies.
Yeah.
That is the part of the work that we love, that we
Like the
engage in.
connection with people.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
yeah.
Because that's why you do it, right? It's all the other stuff, like the admin, dealing with a system that is broken. When I started working, I experienced racism in work, microaggressions, all of the things. And I felt it broke me down so much that I felt incompetent. It was so bad, and I'm saying this not to dissuade people from doing this as work, but just to give you a reality, what the reality was. I would go into my car and cry on my way to work, and then go into work, function, and be like, do what I needed to do, get back into my car and cry on my way home. And what was really jarring is that I got feedback from my workplace that I'm not emotional enough. Like, I'm uncomfortable with people showing emotion. That was the feedback because of how people read me, because I'm a Black woman.
Yeah.
And
They already have these
ideas.
Yeah.
That
You walk in the room already and they've already
that I'm too angry. I'm not emotionally intelligent. I'm not, like, invested in the work that we're doing, which was such a contrast for me, like, literally in tears, bawling, leaving and coming back into this workspace, and then being told that I don't feel emotion in the workplace. So it was like this mind fuck of an experience, which had nothing to do with the client work, had nothing to do with the people that I was seeing every day. It had to do with how I was perceived as a Black woman in a caring profession, being seen as less caring than every other person.
Was this how your clients perceive you, or people
No,
in the workplace
this is
perceive
my
you?
colleagues.
That's insane.
This is management.
That is insane.
This is my clients loved me. I was like, I did, loved is a strong word, but I had good, had good relationships with the clients.
Yeah.
And when I left, the clients were pretty upset about it and felt abandoned by me, and that was really hard. But I had to leave because I was psychologically so unsafe, where I'm being told, you don't have feelings. And I'm like, I do. I just can't cry in front of you because my tears don't mean the same as my white colleague who's crying because I told her what she said was racist.
Yeah.
You know, like there's layers of how you show up in work as a black woman and how you're perceived. And also finding out that I was being paid less than everyone.
What?
Even though I was the more qualified than most people. And when I went to management and said, hey, if I was working in any other place, I'd be earning this amount. Why am I earning this amount over here? And they were like, oh, you need to finish your training. And I was like, I finished my training. So even they didn't even look at what my qualifications were. They just
had these assumptions.
And decided that I wasn't fully qualified. And someone even said, because I'm a clinical psychologist, someone said, oh, it must be really easy for people to get into that course in New Zealand. I was like, why? It's like, because you got it.
Wow.
Like the layers of... That's not even a microaggression. That's just rude.
That's just rude and ignorant. It's not even ignorant. It's just racist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're dealing with this with the work.
But
workplace.
it's. I feel like in any sort of white court, like I that one would have been because it's more specific to and about you and your emotions, and I guess it's more personal, which would have been like just very traumatizing to work in. But even working in corporate white spaces I had that same experience. I used to go to my car and I had to pep talk myself before I got into the office. When I got home, I'm just screaming. I was more like, I literally have mental breakdowns because it was just for me, it was a traumatic experience being around the conversations they're having around me, the way that they were talking towards me. There was just no sensitivity. It was heavily during the BLM movement, so opinions. It's a tough space to be in.
Yeah, and there's fatigue that comes with, because I'm not just black at work, I'm black every other part of my life. So there's a fatigue of constantly experiencing these microaggressions when you go to the supermarket, when I'm in the office at work, when you're dating in the dating pool. There's fatigue that we carry, which also increases our risk of burnout, because you're not just burnt out from the same reasons your white counterparts are. You also have this additional fatigue of being a black person moving in spaces that are not created for you, that don't make space for you. And so it's a difficult experience, but I think if we can show the studies that show that when we show up fully as ourselves, we help organizations do better. So like there was a McKinsey study that said the more diverse your workforce is, the better outcomes you had even during the pandemic, even during a cost of living crisis. Your business does better if you have diversity in your workforce. So we are better for business, but we're treated like we should be grateful to be there as if we're not adding value to the workplace. So
this is something they need to hear.
It's something I'm yelling at them whenever I get the opportunity.
Yeah.
But we are actually incredible for the workforce. We do good work, and we just need to be sustained in that.
Thank you so much for your insights. This was good. It was really interesting to know more about, just to understand burnout in more detail as well. Before we end this episode, we have to do a quick dilemma segment. So this one came in from one of our listeners, and it says, "Hey girl, loving the podcast. I need some advice. So I made a new friend recently, and I really love spending time with her. She's overall great company, but she smells like really bad. It's straight up nasty BO. At first, I thought maybe it was a one-time thing, but every time we hang out, it's the same. I even brought her around my other friends, and I could see them noticing it too. Side eyes, deep inhales, the whole thing, trying not to react. Now, I don't want to embarrass her or make her feel bad, but I also can't keep ignoring it. I don't know if she's unaware or if it's a deeper issue, but I need to figure out how I'm going to tell her without ruining our friendship. Do I just let it go and pray that it stops? Or do I subtly drop hints? Or do I just be straight up about it? How do I approach this without making it awkward or hurting her feelings? Help me out because I'm struggling." This is an interesting one. Have you ever been in this situation?
Yes.
Oh, yeah?
I have.
Okay.
In high school. And I had the conversation with the person and it turned out to be a medical issue.
Really?
Yeah, so
What's the medical issue?
they had like a specific something that was going on that they produced a particular kind of body odor, and it was like a genetic, and they couldn't do anything about it. So we
Wow.
had this really beautiful conversation that was like, these are the things I've tried, and then I was trying to understand what was going on for them, and then they talked about their experience of knowing this thing and knowing that people don't engage with them because of it. So it was really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one very specific example, but it just reminded me of that. But BO and like self-care can be a sign, if people stop looking after themselves, it can be a sign that they're depressed.
Yeah.
So it's actually, it might seem funny or like light, but it's actually really important to talk to someone about what's going on for them. I wouldn't drop hints because I think in the dropping hints, sometimes it can be really insensitive. Like, you buy someone deodorant and you're like, happy birthday. Like, that can actually come across worse.
Yeah.
It's better to actually just talk about
Let them
it.
know. This is like a therapist answer.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. This is such a therapist answer. But I love it because I think you're right. I think there's been instances in my life where I've had that situation and I feel like their home situation, there was something going on or whatever. And so I struggle to let them know.
Yeah.
And I think it is better to just be straight. I think with this person, obviously she's saying that it's a new friendship, so she feels a bit uncomfortable, which I completely understand. Because there's levels to friendship as well, like how close are we?
Yep.
But also, I guess you will find out whether how they respond will also let you know if they could be someone that can consistently be in your life.
Yeah.
In the sense where if you're coming from a place, a good place, and you just want to let them know and they take it the wrong way, I think that kind of is not on you. That's now out of your control. Yeah. It's just about approaching them in a way that's not going to embarrass them
Yes.
privately.
Yes.
Yeah. And just being sensitive about it.
Yeah, and just being open and being like, hey, I've noticed this thing. I want to know what's going on. Is it something you don't notice? Is there something else? Is there other reasons? What's kind of happening? And letting them tell you what their narrative is about it. It is,
How would you say it? Give me like what, like if you were to say,
Wintana,
yeah.
I need to tell you something.
Okay, tell me.
I've noticed in the last times we've hung out together that you've got a bit of an odor.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Instead of you smell,
Yeah, I'm like,
you've
there's
got a bit of an odor. Okay.
And I'm not sure, is it like, what's going on for you? Or like, is there something I can do to help? Or did you notice this?
Yeah.
But like you said, privately and on one-on-one basis, and give them time. And people might be like, F you, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And then that's on, like, you leave it, you've told them.
Yeah. You have to, at that point, you've done what you need to do. But just be gentle about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's how I said it with a friend, because I was like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Because also, smells are like, it's hard to sit around people.
You
when they
can't
don't-
be around people that smell if for a long time. You can't.
Yeah, and if you need to know, because you'll be put off, you won't bring them around people.
Yeah.
And also this is me going back into therapist mode, but the implications for people who have BO in their social life are significant. Like, people don't want to be around you.
Yeah.
And you could be the best person, the most interesting person in the room, but because of the smell, I don't want to hear what you have to say. Because
I can't hug you. I can't stand next, even if it's not physically touching you, to just be around you. It's a struggle. Yeah. Do you think they don't know?
I don't know.
Because when I smell, if I feel like I've had a long day and I smell a little bit, I feel it.
Yeah.
Even if it's not coming out of me, I feel
dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes people don't, because you get used to how you smell.
If you're always smelling like that, that's true.
This person said it's been multiple times.
Yeah.
They've been smelling like that for 2 weeks. They probably don't smell it anymore. If
If
it's like a one-off, you probably do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I find it hard to believe people don't know. But sometimes people know, and the reasons they don't do anything about it are like
deeper reasons.
Deeper,
Yeah. They're struggling with everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a tricky one, but I think definitely tell her, let her know, break it down to her gently.
In private.
In private.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely not around people.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah.
Let your friends know if they smell. It saves them a lot of embarrassment in the rest of their lives.
100%.
Yeah.
Don't be the person that's subtle about it.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you so much. If you have any other dilemmas, please send them through all the links in our bios. It's all on our social channels. Nasalifya, you were amazing.
Aw,
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
I'm glad we did this.
Me too. 5 years later.
5 years later, now we're going to continue. Guys, Nasalifya has this crazy obsession with Bunna. That's another like our connection is
Yeah.
there too. So we need to continue this chat over some
Bunna,
Bunna. Yeah.
100%.
Let people know where they can find you.
So on Instagram @_Nasalifya, Pola Practice on Instagram, and Pola Practice website as well.
All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll see you again next week. Bye.